everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Patriots. Yes, we get ready. We're going to actually get ready for the NFL draft. I got a lot of information, so get ready for a lot of it. So, with that said, we got Tommy in the house. Welcome back, Tommy.
How's it going?
And Tommy will be with Steve and I tomorrow of Alistair and the Motor City Madmouse show. Got Candy in the house, our crack statistician and researcher.
Good evening, gentlemen.
And we got Jeremy Ballrick, who's earned another opportunity to be on this show permanently. And I'm glad he's back on. If there's anybody that knows football more than this guy and with his information, well, geez, you better know. I trained this guy a little bit, especially when it's the field work, right? I did a little bit. Come on, Ballrick. All right, yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you made it to the NFL draft because now he owes me one for the next 2 weeks because I know he's going to give me great draft coverage. And last but not least, I got my superstar running back, Melfar Jr. But that said, we got a busy agenda tonight, and we'll get right through it. If you want to make money as a wide receiver, I'll tell you where to go, people. Go to Ohio State University because when you go to Ohio State, you cash out. I'll give you some good reasons why you do. Jackson Smith, NJIGBA. I don't know how to spell it. I'll take it. Thank you. Okay, is earning $168.6 million. Garrett Wilson of the Jets, of course. Jackson plays for the Seahawks. Garrett Wilson plays for the Jets. How about another $130 million headed his way? Then you have Terry McLaurin for the Washington Commanders, $97 million. Yes, we all know about him in Detroit. Jameson Williams, $80 million. You got Marvin Harrison Jr., $35.4 million. Chris Olave, $19.3 million. And Emeka Egbuka. Okay, he plays for the Bucks, $18.2 million. Tommy, that's a good. I'll tell you what, if you're an Ohio State wide receiver, you're getting paid, man. Aren't you, Tommy? That's all right.
Oh, he's freezing.
Yeah, this is it's out of control. The money these guys are being played.
Yeah, it really is. Boy, you got a good smile, Tommy. I like that smile. Boy, it's frozen inside.
But, I like how Jeremiah Smith. I like how Jeremiah Smith remains committed to Ohio State, and he didn't just go to the biggest suitor.
Yeah.
Ohio State is the biggest suitor. What are you talking about? I'm sure they're paying him a boatload of money.
Yeah. Candy, take a crack at this one. Ohio State, you go there, you get paid.
Well, let's face it, they've even had Hall of Famers Chris Carter, Joey Galloway, Santonio Holmes, Ted Ginn Jr. They've had some big name players that have played for them. And yes, we can call them wide receiver U. That's what their name has been. Different schools sometimes have different key players at certain, and they develop certain position players better than others. Some are known for their offensive line. Some are known for their quarterbacks. Some are known for their wide receivers. Ohio State's known for their wide receivers. Kudos to them.
Yeah, Mel?
Hello, Jason.
Some are known, like USC, Convict U, but my buddy's not here. But you know how I am about these wide receivers getting all this money. It just doesn't make sense to me to pay someone that impacts the game as little as they do and are so dependent on the quarterback, dependent on another position, not only the quarterback, but the offensive line as well. And you're talking about somebody that's going to touch the ball 8 times a game, 6 to 8 times a game, and you want to pay these guys $35-40 million a year. It makes zero sense to me. I have no clue why owners feel that they need to pay. I understand, this is a league. It's like baseball. Chicks dig the long ball. Everybody wants to see these teams slinging the ball all around the lot. You need to be able to build your team from the inside out, front to back. You need to have good offensive line play, and you need to be able to run the football, and you need to be able to stop the run. So why they continue to pay? Every receiver is not worth that type of money. CeeDee Lamb to me is a good receiver, but he's not $35 million a year type of receiver. That's just my opinion. It doesn't matter. My opinion doesn't matter. Only opinion that matters in that case is Jerry Jones. Or the kid that just got all the money out there in Seattle. He's a good receiver, but is he worth that type of money? To me, he's not. How are you building your team? You can't build your team and have the necessary depth at all positions when you're allocating that much money at one position on one guy, especially somebody that's only going to touch the ball 6 to 8 times a game.
Okay, great stuff all the way around. Yeah, there's no question you're going to get paid a lot of money if you're Ohio State. I know Miami Hurricanes been known for developing quarterbacks for a lot of years. At every university, I know in Pittsburgh, I think Penn State's always been known for linebacker or you. There's a lot of different things that certainly go ahead. Go ahead, Candy. I know you're chopping it.
Jeremy hasn't spoken on the topic yet.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jeremy.
So out of all those numbers, the one I want to point out is the 4 years for $88 million for Jamison Williams is almost the lowest one out of all of them, because the average per year of the other guys are way more, which he's a wide receiver too. And the only reason Jamison Williams got that money is because 2 years before, that wide receiver 3 that did nothing for Jacksonville, Christian Kirk, got $25 million a year. So,
right.
That's what set the market and changed everything. Then Jamar Chase got $40 million. Now CeeDee Lamb, and now Jackson Smith-Njigba. If you look at that contract, he's $20 million away from making as much as Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams combined.
Great stuff, Jeremy. Okay. All right, let's talk about Dabo Swinney. Obviously, Tommy, he's had a pretty good job for a while, but recently it's been talked about he could be on the hot seat, so the focus is on him. He went 7-6 after being preseason number 4. They were coming off a 10-4 season with a playoff appearance in 2024. This is all capped off with a loss to a fellow number 2, Penn State. Clemson only scored 10 points in that game. And then, of course, unfortunately, it's a downfall for Clemson, is that Clemson last 5 seasons have been disappointing, progressively getting worse through the years. Apparently, Dabo Swinney's refusal to utilize the portal is the main reason that they're having difficulties, and their maximum capabilities is a big reason for this. But one guy that I talked to, though, but let's get this: in 2021 they were 10-3, and they had a preseason rank of number 3 and postseason rank of number 14. I'll tell you what, when I was at the Senior Bowl, and here's a guy to watch out for, and we're talking about a kid by the name of Adam Randall. He's one of the first guys that I spoke to. And what we're going to do is, this kid here is thankful that they did use the portal because it gave him an opportunity to play at Clemson. And now this kid has a chance to be picked up somewhere. I have no idea what his projections are, but I'm going to tell you one thing. Candy, play the tape. I want everybody to give their opinion on what they think of this kid. Adam Randall, to me, could be a hidden gem. Candy, go to the tape.
To the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. I am pleased to be joined by Clemson running back Adam Randall. Thanks for being on the show.
Yes, sir. Nice to be here.
Well, obviously coming out of Clemson, you play for Dabo Swinney. What was that experience like playing for arguably one of the best coaches?
It was such a blessing, Coach Swinney believing in me, especially since I came out of high school. He had instilled a lot of confidence and belief in me. I feel like that program is set up to build young men into young boys into young men.
I know he's not really big on the transfer portal and a lot of the new things yet. Do you like the way that he's still trying to find a way to build it the old-fashioned way, even though at times it might appear to be, he might be a little bit behind the times?
Coach Swinney is going to do it Coach Swinney's way, and I feel like I'm going to support him in it, whatever way he wants to do it. I mean, obviously he dabbled in the portal a little bit this year, but I feel like that guy is such a great competitor that he wants to win that, he's going to do whatever's best for his program, and he wants to win as many ball games as he can. So, if it takes the transfer portal, he's going to use it. If it doesn't, that's what he feels like. And I'm a product of him not having to use the transfer portal. He could have easily went out there and got another running back last year, and he decided not to, and it gave me so many opportunities this year to perform.
Yeah, tell me what this experience so far, Adam, has been like here at the Senior Bowl. You obviously have scouts and coaches and so forth, but explain the experience from start to finish in terms of what you're gaining out of this experience.
I'm just gaining so much more knowledge and knowledge from the next level that I'm just extremely appreciative to be here. Having an opportunity just to come out here and work against the top talent in the country is such a blessing, and I'm blessed. And it's been a blessing that I've been selected to be here.
what do you feel are some of your biggest attributes? You feel that like you are able to hold on to the ball pretty well, ball control, and your speed that scouts are going to take notice for you?
I just think it's my versatility, my ability to go down the field and make catches downfield and also be able to run in between the tackles. I think I bring a lot to an offense and a lot within my game that I'm able to use and just continue to grow upon.
I have to ask you one other question. As a running back, are there any particular running backs that you idolize or, I grew up with covered Barry Sanders, but Barry Sanders obviously is unique. But any guys that you really pattern yourself or idolize that you actually feel that, I hate to compare anybody, but give us your take on some of these guys.
My biggest comparison has been Cordell Patterson. Him switching from wide receiver to running back from Tennessee. I've just been able to watch a lot of his film and continue to grow and expand upon his tape.
Any other things you want to add in terms of what you're looking forward to? Obviously, we have the game and more practices. Are the coaches here at the Senior Bowl able to teach you a lot of things that you weren't able to get with Coach Sweeney and the Clemson staff?
No, I had a lot of great coaches in Clemson, and I just feel like I'm expounding upon my knowledge while I'm here and just being able to use that and take it to the next level.
Well, all I can tell you, Adam, I appreciate you being on the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. I wish you nothing but the best. I'll follow in your pro career. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, some takes. I mean, what do you think of this kid? He's a high character kid, isn't he? Tommy?
Yeah, and he's speaking of what makes Dabo Sweeney Clemson football. If Dabo has to adjust, I think he'll finally come around to that. But Dabo Sweeney is Clemson football. I think he would leave Clemson before Clemson would want to let him go.
Candy?
Yeah, I thought your questions were good. I think Adam spoke highly of Dabo, and obviously he said Dabo could have gone out and used the transfer portal, but he didn't. He stuck with the players that he brought in, and he tried to develop them to the best of his ability. So kudos to Dabo for that.
Jeremy?
I love Adam Randall. I think he's a class act. I like the way he ran at the combine. I like the drills he ran, the way he was able to receive in those routes, just like the receivers, because that's becoming a bigger thing. But the difference is everybody forgets his freshman year, he was a receiver that broke his hand. And so he learned a different position because he did struggle at first with receiving the ball.
Did not know that. Great stuff, Jeremy. That's why you're on the show permanently. Great stuff. Okay, Mel, he's a running back. What do you think of this running back?
Well, very well spoken. Obviously, you can't expect him to say anything poorly about the program. I think he answered that question very well when you asked him about the program. It's kind of hard to talk about, you're talking about something in the past and something that he's, really doesn't have a whole lot of control over. It's a tough question, and I think he answered it very, very well. I think he answered the question about, himself and who he patterns himself after or who he sees himself like. And I think, I haven't seen him play. He hasn't had a whole lot of production. His 4 years there at Clemson. He's a big back, decent speed, 4.5 speed, 6'3", 232 pounds. So, he's going to be, he's a guy that needs to get those tough yards. He's not a guy that necessarily going to, that can score from anywhere on the field, is going to hit his head on the goalpost from anywhere on the field. But, if you want somebody that, if you have a ball control offense and you're trying to establish a physical running game, this is the type of guy that you want to put in there. He should be able to take be able to give a lot of punishment and take a lot of punishment.
I got the perfect analogy for what he is. He's the age-old adage of a 3 years and a cloud of dust running back.
Okay, fair. I'll give you that. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. The Gators have a quarterback in the waiting. Florida QB commit Will Griffin set a Tampa Bay area all-time passing record. Get this, of 10,677 yards. The 4-star commit played for Tampa Jesuit High School. Tommy, have you heard much about this kid, Will Griffin? Tommy?
No, I just heard that he's a top recruit. And I think he's in a good spot if he's going to be playing for John Summerall because he has proven himself to be able to develop quarterbacks. Darian Benson, who was he until he played for Summerall at Tulane and then cashed in with $4 million at Duke? Why was he worth $4 million? I don't know. But then he took the money and ran to Miami for even more money. So And then Tulane didn't miss a beat without Darian Mensah. They won and went to the college football playoffs without him with a new quarterback. So I think Will Griffin is in a good position to develop his skills under a good coach.
Candy?
He is recognized as one of Florida's top high school passers in history with 12,299 passing yards and 143 touchdowns. He's considered a physically ready quarterback. He's considered a pocket passer with pro-style capabilities, strong arm strength, and good anticipation. He passed for 2,534 yards and 37 touchdowns with only 2 interceptions in 2025. So he ended his career at Tampa Jesuit as the Tampa Bay area's all-time passing leader and second in Florida State history for passing touchdowns. That says a lot because there's a lot of good football talent that comes out of the state of Florida. So to be second all-time, that's pretty impressive.
And I know personally from covering Tampa high school football when I was at University of South Florida, they produce a lot of great prospects out there. They really, really do. Jeremy, some thoughts about this kid.
Well, he ranked as the top 15 quarterback nationwide for the 2026 draft class. That's a pretty high praise. That puts him into that upper echelon nationwide, not just in Florida. He might have been the top Florida guy, but it's amazing. And he set records. What do you expect? And he's 6'3" and 230 pounds coming out of high school. Talk about being a prototypical quarterback size.
Yeah, and the fact of the matter is he could grow a little bit more too. So,
Right.
if gain another inch or two. Mel?
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot about this kid, so I'm interested to see what he's going to do, but I don't know much about this kid.
Fair enough. The other three made it up for it. So, all right, let's talk about here, Tommy. This is right up your alley, my friend. We're talking about Michigan State portal commit. Michigan State has actually signed Miami quarterback transfer Charles Brantley and returned to East Lansing. For Brantley, obviously, he was a multi-year starter for the Spartans before transferring to Miami. How big of a deal is this for the Spartans to get this kid back? Tommy?
The Spartans went into the portal quite a bit in their secondary. Got a couple other guys that might be the starters. But Charles Brantley, I don't know why he ever left Michigan State in the first place. As a freshman, he intercepted a pass that ended Michigan's drive in the 2021 season. Made a spectacular leaping interception that ended Michigan himself to Michigan State. And then he kept entering the portal every year. He came back. He got hurt. And then he goes in the portal Miami. He doesn't play. And, one thing about staying at one school is you're going to develop your game.
Internet issues.
By going into the portal and going out.
Okay. Candy?
He talks about in week 8 of the 2021 season, he had 4 tackles and a game-winning interception in the win over Michigan. In his freshman season, 2020, he played 8 games, notching 18 tackles, 4 pass deflections, and an interception. He did, during the 2023 season, played in just 3 games after suffering a season-ending injury where he had 10 tackles and a pass deflection. He played a couple games in 2024, and then he announced he was doing the transfer portal, and then he didn't play, and now he's back. So I don't know exactly why he left. I mean, he went to school down here in Venice, Florida, so he was familiar with the U, but obviously Michigan State, recruited him, and now he's back there.
Well, I got the chance to play for Pat Fitzgerald, so Pat Fitzgerald obviously, I think he's going to really do a good job his first year. I really, truly do. Jeremy?
Well, it's good for Michigan State because they got a quality corner to come in and help solidify that secondary. I mean, yeah, they brought in some transfer portal guys, but they got somebody that's there that's already familiar with the program. And I think that's going to help them even more than the new guys coming in. And I'm not saying because he knows the coaches that are there now. I'm saying because he's familiar with East Lansing in the Spartan way.
Mel?
So wait, you get to leave your wife, marry somebody else, and come back to your first wife?
Yep. Evidently.
I didn't. Oh, okay. I didn't think they did that.
That's college football.
Yeah, I didn't think they did it. You know, I'm not. You know, I think I don't think you build your team through the portal. I think you kind of, in my opinion, I think you should try to fill holes through the portal, not build your team. A lot of these, you know, Colorado every year they're totally overhauling their entire roster, trying to rebuild their team through the portal. I don't think that's the way that you go about doing it. I think you just try to fill some needs and get some depth with the portal. You know, so you know, in Michigan State, obviously, you know, Pat Fitzgerald's going to be there. This is his first year there. You know, he's probably trying to get guys that are, you know, that he feels more comfortable with. You know, guys that he feels are, you know, have his type of personality. And, you know, fortunately for him, I guess, for this kid here, that Pat did take the job and he's able to go back to his first wife and you know, to where he started off. Because I don't think I've ever heard that before. I mean, once the door is closed, man, don't let it hit you where the good Lord split you. So I don't know.
One thing. Welcome, Michael Edwards. You get to join this parade. I love this guy. Hey, just remember, Ballrick's on here permanently. You know, of course, he's on next week, and then he'll be doing his own thing while we're on overseas. Well, I go out there and wear out my voice doing travel videos. All right, Michael, so glad you can join us on here. Having him, Michael, in the chat room's also. Go ahead, Jeremy. What do you want to add to this?
Let's not forget about the 380 students that ended up without a school because they didn't get picked up in the transfer portal and there was no place for them to go back to.
380.
It was 380 at least. That there was a total of 1,780 was it that they said at the transfer portal this year, and 300 at least 380 of them was reported with no school.
Okay, well, that's good stuff. All right, let's go to another NFL note. Unfortunately, the NFL lost a very important coach yesterday, and I had the chance to work with Coach Dave McGinnis when he was with the Arizona Cardinals back in 2001. Dave McGinnis lost a courageous battle with pancreatic cancer at the age of 74. Again, I worked with him at the Arizona Cardinals, and they were playing at Sun Devil Stadium long before they had the new place. You won't find a nicer person, and I swear, than, to me, Dave McGinnis. His record was, I think, like 17-40 with the Cardinals, but they were starting to turn the corner his final year. He inherited a mess, and he began to turn the corner a little bit. So, Jeremy, I don't know what you know about Dave McGinnis, but to me, he's a sweetheart of a guy. I actually met Mean Joe Green when Mean Joe Green was actually on Coach McGinnis' staff as well. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts about Dave McGinnis? This one breaks my heart.
Yeah, it's sad, and I hope everybody recovers because it's just, you know, April 13th, 2026, his passing, it was a huge blow. What can you say about the guy? There's nothing bad to say about him. He was a good head coach. Prayers up to his family.
Yeah, I mean, I've never met enough. I had the opportunity to cover them for 3 games. The Cardinals were nice. At that time, you know, I was just a guy from, you know, a guy that the Cardinals were nice enough, okay, and they were just unbelievable. Candy, you monitoring the chat? It's pretty good stuff here. Let's make sure we get all these comments up. Okay, Michael Edwards, kind of you, Scott Fort. All right, thanks, Mel. Appreciate you keeping your eyes in there as well. Well, hello, Jack.
No, I was talking about somebody putting some other stuff in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I took care of it.
All right, we have a police in there. Okay, well, anyways, Mel, some thoughts about Dave McGinnis. Obviously, they loved him in Tennessee, and they loved him. And Michael Bidwell had some pretty nice comments. I don't have them in front of me. Maybe you can dig them up, Candy, about what he said on behalf of the Cardinals. Go ahead, Candy. You can go last. Tommy, some thoughts about Dave McGinnis. Tommy? Tommy?
Oh, yeah, I don't know a lot about him, but he had a chance to be the Bears head coach. But I guess there was a miscommunication on the announcement, and it was before he had talked with the owner in Arizona, and he decided not to take the job. So I mean, that speaks to a lot to his character, because you have a chance to be the head coach of the Bears. That's quite a story. But I don't know a lot about him. But when you hear pancreatic cancer, that's a death sentence. I don't know if it gets diagnosed more now than it used to get diagnosed, but when you hear about people getting it, John Lewis, the great U.S. congressman from Georgia, he had it, and nobody seems to win that battle.
No, in fact, Phil Garner actually lost it too the other day, as I recall correctly, the former scrap iron loss that we talked about on the baseball show. Candy, you have a statement from Michael Bidwell on this.
Yeah, there you go. That's right.
We were deeply saddened to learn of Dave McGinnis passing and extend our heartfelt condolences to all who knew and loved him, Cardinals owner Michael Bidwell said in a statement. As Dave often said, he was a ball coach through and through, and no one ever filled that role with more passion, enthusiasm, and charisma. Coach Mack truly loved the game and everything and everyone associated with it, especially his players. He was one of a kind and will be greatly missed.
Well, there you go. Rest in peace, Coach Dave McGinnis. And I appreciate the time you spent with me. You were very gracious in your time, and I appreciate the Arizona Cardinals when I was living in the Phoenix area back from the end of 99 to 2000. So, all right, well, everybody's heard by now about the North Dakota State Bison moving over to FBS, but I'll tell you one guy who has to deal with them yet again is this, okay? And his name is Jason Eck. So let's talk. So I'm going to give you this particular story. I think it's pretty cool, actually. Do you like NDSU's famous Fargo Dome? New Mexico's head coach Jason Eck shared his thoughts on North Dakota's Fargo Dome. And number one, he says, number one, the dome references North Dakota State's Fargo Dome, one of the most unique venues in all of college football. The Bison are set to join the FBS and Mountain West in 2026 and will fight for a waiver to be college football playoff eligible 1 year. I don't know if that's been done yet. But X says that he thought he was done playing in that dome when asked about NDSU joining the Mountain West. X spent 3 seasons as a head coach at Idaho before taking the job at New Mexico and faced NDSU many times. So, yeah, he said he's tired of that dome for sure. And he says that he shared his praises for the NDSU program and its impact for the conference, but made sure to allude to his previous matchups as coach against the Bison. X spent 3 seasons as coach at Idaho, as I mentioned, taking the job at New Mexico and faced them many times. But that dome is what he calls it, okay? That dome, and I've told you the history. So, Jeremy, what are your thoughts about Jason Eck going back to a place he doesn't particularly like and he's been on the wrong end of some losses?
Oh, gosh. Good coach. And yes, he is used to playing against North Dakota State because he also was a head coach at South Dakota State. So he's faced them many times, because they're in the same conference. So, he says it's a unique place, but he probably does hate it there, even though he had a winning record. But he says there are no complacency this year for the New Mexico State team. I saw that earlier. He did his press release this morning.
Mel, I don't know if the Fargo Dome's on your bucket list, but I'd like to probably go there one of these days just to see the place. It's a small place, but I'll tell you one thing, I give NDSU the credit for making the leap. What are your thoughts about what Jason Eck has to say about it?
Yeah, I've heard of the Fargo Dome. I think I watched the game one time in the Fargo Dome. It's been quite some time ago. I can't remember about it, but obviously, leaving Idaho, going to New Mexico, going to what do they call them, FBS school now, and North Dakota State's moving up there as well. Thought maybe he got away from him, but I guess joke's on him. He's going to continue to go back there, and hopefully he'll be able to erase some of the bad memories that he might have had there, as far as losses that he had when he was over at South Dakota State. But we shall see.
Tommy?
Yeah, Jason Eck is a great coach. New Mexico is a tough place to win at any time. Not many coaches have won consistently there. One is Rocky Long. And he went there his first year and had a great season. Let's see, I think they were 9-4, made a bowl game, but maybe most impressive, they played Michigan tough in the season opener at Michigan. Ended up losing by a couple touchdowns, but it was a good game. And they were competing with them. So he's pretty optimistic about what he can do in New Mexico. And I wonder if some of that was just tongue-in-cheek about the Fargo Dome, because the Fargo Dome shows that the whole North Dakota State football community is pretty committed and dedicated to having a quality program.
Yeah, I'll tell you, they're well on their way too. Candy?
Jason Eck was born in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and played for the Wisconsin Badgers. He was an offensive lineman. We talk about schools that are good with certain positions. There you go. So, and he's coached at a bunch of different states. Good for him. As far as the Fargo Dome, it opened in 1992. It seats for football around 18,700. But it is widely known as the loudest venue in college football, creating a strong home field advantage. So I can see that why you wouldn't want to play there. And if you, I should have brought up a picture and put the picture up on it. It's enclosed, so obviously, the sound is all, and not many college stadiums are enclosed. So that really keeps the sound in for playing.
Yeah. It's a bucket list item now. At least this one isn't too far, Candy. Okay. So at least this one's going to be great. And I'd like to actually go to this place in Fargo. I've actually been through Fargo and been there before, saw the Capitol, but never this place. Of course, like you said, it was just recently built. Well, let's talk about the 49ers, because they're going to have an travel schedule that's going to embark them about 38,000 miles in the regular season. But here's what you're going to have with the 49ers. They're going to play a regular season game in Melbourne, Australia, a home regular season game in Mexico City, and they have a schedule that includes 2 cross-country road games at the Falcons and the Giants. They might be the most well-traveled team in NFL history next year. We already knew that this was coming, but the 49ers, okay, get this, they're getting a road game in Melbourne, in Australia, and then a home game in Mexico City in the same city. It's crazy, but that's over 19,000 miles at 2 trips, and that would rank 12th among travel miles for all games last year. So you want to talk about some frequent flyer miles, Tommy? The 49ers are getting them.
That's the new NFL. They're expanding their reach across the globe. Going to Australia, playing games in Australia is a smart move. I don't really put much into the total mileage that a team is going to travel, because teams have been traveling coast to coast for a long time, just a little bit longer because of a couple of international trips, but they're separated. The Australia trip is to start the season, and they don't go to Mexico City until December. In the NFL, always builds in a time between those travel trips. So I don't really think it factors into the results of the team's play or their record.
Candy?
The total distance for their season is estimated at around 38,250, which would surpass the previous record of over 37,000 miles for the 2025 Chargers. The team will travel more than 54 time zones, featuring the Week 1 matchup against the Rams in Australia, and yes, a December home game in Mexico. Do I think it'll factor in? I think it'll factor in somewhat. Obviously, they travel in nice planes and all that and stuff like that. But I think it makes it, with as many games as there is, it's already a long season, and to add the traveling on adds just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'll have more. I'll have more on that story about them going to Australia at a later date. I just wanted to touch on the amount of miles that they're traveling this year, and right now that's what we've got there, that many miles. So obviously, Colorado will get this, will not employ a special teams coordinator this season. Jeremy, what are your thoughts about not?
Scott, you didn't ask Mel and Jeremy about the last topic.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, you'll know what the next one is anyway. Mel, what are your thoughts about that Franklin Flyers? I'm sorry. Thanks for correcting me.
Well, good for them. They deserve it. I can't think of it happening to a better outfit.
Okay. Hey, Brad, glad to have you in here. Maybe if you ever want to come on baseball, we'll keep an open mind to that for sure. No problem. I'm glad that you're in the chat room. So, all right. But thanks a lot for popping in the chat room. Baseball, there's always an opportunity for you, and that's on Monday night at around 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. Okay, go ahead, Jeremy. Sorry. Thanks, Candy, for going out there. And
I think that's why they made the game in Australia, because it's such a long distance to travel for one game, even though they're on the West Coast. I think that's why they made it a Wednesday night game, to give the team more rest. It'll be less jet lag the next week. And that makes a lot of sense. That extra day of rest after travel will make a huge difference for preparing for the next Sunday's game.
Okay. By the way, Brad, you're very welcome. Okay, now let's go on to the Colorado will not employ a special teams coordinator this season. That's absurd. Jeremy, your thoughts? No special teams coordinator? I don't get that one.
I don't get it either. A special games coordinator, I think, means a lot more in college football, where you can still do surprise onside kicks and everything else, unlike the NFL. And it's going to make it a lot more difficult for the head coach there to be able to do anything. I don't like it. It does not make sense to me. It does not compute.
No.
I don't remember us having a special teams coordinator when when I was playing in college. It'd be one of the offensive line coach that would be the punt team coach, and then somebody else would be the punt return coach, another one of the position coaches. Somebody else would be the kicking coach, whether it be field goal or field goal block. Somebody else would do that, and then somebody would do kickoff and kickoff return. So, I mean, if you split up the duties among some of the coaches you already have, it's not really that big of a deal. If you're just going to go out there and wing it, then it's a problem. Now, I'm sure that Dion has a plan. I would imagine that he has a plan. Maybe they have a grad assistant or something like that might be doing it. A lot of times you'd have a grad assistant that would come in and help out on the special teams. I don't understand it, but it's not uncommon. Like I said, back when I played, there was no special team coordinator when I played college football.
Candy.
So the responsibility for different aspects of special teams will be distributed among position coaches. Following a 3-9 2025 season, the staff is being completely restructured, and Sanders is opting for a shared accountability approach rather than a single coordinator. This is not unprecedented for the program, as they did not have a dedicated, officially listed special teams coach in 2024 either. Obviously, the decision follows a 2025 season where the team had multiple kicks and punts blocked, exposing issues in protection. So, it's something that we don't necessarily hear of in today's game. But hey, Deion's ultimately responsible for this team. It's his decision whether what coaches he wants to put on that team and what titles he wants to give them. So ultimately, it's up to him.
Hi, Eddie. Glad to have you in the chat room. Tommy, your thoughts about no special teams coordinator in Colorado?
Yeah, it sounds awful strange when you first hear it that they're not going to have a special teams coach, but maybe that's because we're accustomed to what we always hear in the NFL about special teams coach. But after I saw that, and then I read a little more about it, in addition to what Candy said that they didn't have one in 2024 when they had their winning season. It's and what Mel said, it's not that unusual at a lot of other schools. They do have, from reading about it, it sounds like tight ends coach Josh Niblett is going to be the basic one in charge of it. And then Deion wants his other position coaches to feed players onto the special teams that are best suited. But it kind of sounds like this Josh Niblett guy is working the role of the passing game coordinator, maybe not without the title
though. Excuse me. All right, so let's talk about Cole Payton. Here's another kid here, obviously who figures to have his name called in the draft. And what we're going to do is play a sound clip of Cole, and I interviewed him as well. Let's give us your thoughts about what you think of him as a prospect. Go ahead, Candy.
Everybody, welcome to the Motor City Mad Mouse Show. I'm pleased to be joined by Cole Payton of North Dakota State. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I noticed you're a left-handed quarterback, and I know some of the good ones out there, Ken Staber and Boomer Esiason. Tell me what it's like to be able to play the position the wrong way, the right way?
It's the right way. It's the right way for sure. To some people it might look goofy, but it's all the same. If you can play, you can play, and I'm here for a reason. But it's been a blast. So,
don't you find it interesting that when you go out there and other coaches, that it's harder for them to figure you out because you play 80% different than everybody else?
I suppose, yeah. But there's been successful QBs that are left-handed, like Michael Vick and Steve Young and all these people.
So tell me a little bit about North Dakota State. They didn't make it to the finals last year, but talk about the tradition of the program, and are they ready to go to FBS at some point?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll move up at some point, but it's a special place. So grateful to be a Bison, so proud to be a Bison, and they're going to continue to have success.
What do you bring to an NFL team?
I'm an animal when the ball's in my hand. I'm an animal.
You're an animal,
yeah,
all right.
Yeah.
And any other things that you want to add that you want to tell scouts and so forth?
And I just I love this game. I love to compete. I love to learn and grow, and that's why I do it.
Well, all I can tell you is I've always admired North Dakota State, and they have a great tradition of quarterbacks. You want to follow in that tradition as well?
100%. Yep, there's been a long lineage. That's a big reason I went there. A guy sitting here is Coach Hedberg, Randy Hedberg. He's a big reason I'm here. And so, the best place in America is NDSU.
And you had a couple championships as well, right?
Yep, a couple championships early in my career, and yeah, it's just a blessing for sure.
And one thing that came to my mind, you were approached by Power 4 schools, right? But you elected to stay?
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
It means loyalty to the Bison. It means that much to you?
It does. It's that awesome of a place.
Cool. Been a pleasure talking to you. I wish you the best. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
All right, you know what else he brings to the NFL before I turn over? His height is 6'2.5", weight 229, 2025 stats for Forum FCS All-America First Team, 2025 193.8. Pass efficiency, number one in the FCS, 71.9%. As far as his completion percentage, number two. Career rushing, 1,918 yards, 31 touchdowns, 6.7 yards per catch. All right, Jeremy, you get the particulars with this guy. Thanks a lot, Michael. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I do like this guy. It's one of the 30 visits that the Lions had this season, no less. So we actually talked to him. I'm getting ready to do a draft profile just because of it, because I didn't know he was on their radar until I saw him listed. So I like what I hear from him in particular. And like Michael Ditton Edwards said there, it was nice foreshadowing, asking the question, 2 months before it was announced that they were moving to that conference in FBS.
It was just a hunch, Michael. When you've been around this game for so many years, Michael, you just got to ride with the hunch. So anything else you want to add, JB?
Nope. All
right, we'll turn it over to Mel. Go ahead, Mel.
The guy spoke very well. Again, tough questions sometimes for a player to have to answer, and I think he handled those questions well. I'm trying to see, how many yards he threw for over there in North Dakota State. I'm not really seeing it, but his pre-draft measurables. I mean, he's looks like he's got a little mobility. He's got some size to him, 6'2", almost 6'3", 230 pounds. So he seems to be sturdy. The problem with him, and I'm not real big on left-handers because the spin is different. You really gotta adjust your offense to that. Left tackles are getting all the money, and all of a sudden your backside is on the right side now. So if you're a team that already has a left-handed quarterback, it makes sense to bring somebody like him in, similar to what I think the Falcons did, right? Because Penix is left-handed, right? If I'm not mistaken. And you bring in Tua, who's left-handed. So, maybe you take a flyer on this kid here in the late rounds and let him come in and put him on the practice squad and let him develop and see what he can become.
All right, Jeremy, I'm going to go back to you. Where are they projecting this guy? What do you think they're going to what's he slotted at? Do you have any rough idea where Cole's going to be at?
Let me look. I actually got the PFSN draft site up. I can check.
And if you need to listen,
I think it's third to fifth round.
Is it third to fifth round, Tommy? And
Third
if you want,
fifth.
And if you want Candy to go ahead and send you this video, Jeremy, for your mocks, she'll be more than happy to send it to you. I'll give you permission to use it if you want to. Okay. So, up to you, your call, but she can do it. I'm going to be sending Steve Ballesteri the one on Randall. Okay, well, that's interesting stuff. So he's like a mid-round pick. That's you get a guy in that area. You got a hidden gem that can hold the clipboard, and a left-handed quarterback. I think you got a hidden gem, right, Tommy?
Yeah, the thing that impressed me most about that interview was that he had a chance to go to a Power 4 school, and he stayed there. He didn't just stay committed to show loyalty to stay at the school. He probably turned down money that he would have made that he's not going to make at North Dakota State. But I think I'm just guessing, but I'm thinking that he realized he had another year to develop with the same coaches, the same teammates, on the same trajectory, rather than going to some place where you're completely new, you got new teammates, and maybe you're not going to play that much, which is what I just said about Charles Brantley. He lost a year of development. So he seems to be a guy who's very committed to developing his game and taking the best path forward in front of him, and not just jumping for the money.
Candy?
So in this record-setting season in 2025, he led the Bison to 12-1 record, including an 8-0 mark in the Missouri Valley Football Conference. He actually he set NDSU single-season records for pass efficiency, 193.8, yards per pass attempt, 12.1, total offensive yards per game, 268.9, and per play, 9.71. His 719 completion percentage ranked second in the FCS and was third in school single-season history. He completed 161 of 224 passes for 2,719 yards and 16 touchdowns with 4 interceptions, averaged 5.7 yards per carry, and was NDSU's second leading rusher with 136 attempts for 777 yards and 13 touchdowns. He had 3 of the top 6 single-game offensive performances in NDSU history. Says a lot.
Okay, you know what? We got one more sound. I'm sorry, Jeremy. Anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, when I looked him up, he is the 7th ranked QB prospect according to ESPN's big board. He is ranked as the 155th prospect, which would actually put him right about the 6th round or 5th round And funny enough, the Lions have the 157th pick.
Up is Tim Tebow.
Well, I actually looked at his measurables for comparison of comps. At 6'3" and 232 and a 10 1/4 inch hand with 31 and 0.625 inch arms and a 40-inch vert with a 10'10" broad jump, it actually measures up closer to Andrew Luck in stature. It also Desmond Ridder and Clayton Tune in recent history.
Interesting. We have one more soundbite. One more soundbite we want to play for you, Ruben Bay Jr. Candy, which one you want to play? This kid, I thought of Miami, one of the top-ranked prospects out there. I don't want to hear anything about what you hear about what they brought up 2 years after the fact. I had a chance to spend time with this kid. He's a high-character kid. Go ahead, Candy.
Okay, let me share. Ruben Bain is right here. Share.
That it culminated to you getting to the national championship. So you had a lot of good postseason experience. Let's talk about that. And then the second part of my question is, had a lot of your teammates here showing off in front of the scouts. So, it's a pretty good year for the program overall, not only for what you did in the postseason and how far you ended up getting to get there, but then they dealt with the pro day.
This year was amazing. That's the show of amazing. It was a new group of guys coming in. We all bought in to Coach Cristobal, but not only Coach Cristobal, to each other. There's some guys that we literally ate, slept, and bred together. We was in here sleeping throughout the IPF. We was in each other's houses talking, eating, sleeping together, making sure we could spend as much time as we can with one another. And I feel like you've seen that bond and that kind of connection on the field. Just giving our all to each other because we knew we wanted to let each other down. And we all was able to be fortunate enough to come out here and do the same thing one last time in front of all these scouts, in front of all these people doing our dream, in front of our family members, in front of our friends. And just fortunate enough to be out here bonding with one another for one last time. One of the scouts said we was in the room. It's probably be the last time we'll be in the room, one room together with everybody. And we all just took it in. We ain't take it for granted. We had the opportunity, we believed in, we bought in.
What are you going to take away from Coach Mario Cristobal that you'll be able to take away, not only from what he's taught you in football, but in life?
Mentality. You got to work, whether that's football or just life. It's not nothing going to be handed to you. You always want to surround yourself with the best people because iron's going to sharpen iron, the best on best. And that's the kind of mentality he gave me. Just having that mentality to walk around in the building, walk with my head high, my chest out, because I know I put the work in to do anything, and anything is achievable as long as you put the work in. Because Cristobal been the best mentor of my life these last 3 years and pushing me each and every day, make sure I was surrounded by the best guys and make sure he was surrounding me, surrounding the best guys around me, and making sure we could come in this building, put our all in, and leave with our heads high because we knew we put the work in on Green Tree. We knew we put the work in this IPF to get everything we needed done.
All right. So anybody can say what they want about this kid, but this kid here is a heck of a player. He really is. I've watched him play the last few years, and some team out there is going to find themselves a heck of a player. Jeremy, what are your thoughts about the character of Ruben Bain Jr.?
Character-wise, I have no issue with him. I mean, the fact that people are slandering him right now about something that happened 2 years ago is disgusting to me. It's a lot like all the other stuff that came out about so many people that have been cleared of stuff. Look at the punt god is what he was called. The guy that lost his job in Buffalo, Matt Ariza, to find out it was all fake. Stuff like that ruins these kids' careers. And I wish GMs and whoever's digging up the dirt would just stop. Because if it happened 2 years ago and he served a suspension, that means it's done. He hasn't had an issue ever since.
Okay. Mel?
Well, it's interesting the timing of all these things all the time. You know, always around a draft, something pops up. Every year, something. Whether it's a guy with the gas mask smoking weed, Dak Prescott getting in trouble. I mean, it's always something that pops up. Now, look, somebody lost their life, and that's a tragedy. It's something that happened 2 years ago. But the fact that we're hearing this, we're just now hearing this. Well, it's something. This is 2026, and we're just now hearing this. to me, it's very suspicious. People do these kind of things, so people fall in the draft, and next thing you know, you get a person who's was supposed to be a top 5 or a top 10 pick, and all of a sudden, maybe they drop a few slots right into your lap. So it's very curious as to why all of a sudden this information just surfaced. 10 days from the draft.
Yeah, it's a joke. Candy.
Yeah, it really upsets me that all of this is coming out now. I mean, the family of the person that lost their life knew it was an accident, wishes him nothing but the best in his career. Let it be. Why bring it up now? I get it. It's suspect. Don't know who did it, but Ruben is a really good, hardworking kid. And I wish him nothing but the best.
Okay. Who have I called on so far?
Tom has to go.
Okay, go ahead, Tommy.
Yeah, he had a great season. He was getting talk about Heisman Trophy votes, and that's not an easy thing to do for any defensive lineman. I don't know how he ended up finishing on the voting, because I think he had some of his best games earlier in the season. But there's no doubt that he's a great player, and he's good. I hope he does well.
Great stuff. I guess everybody, I just love the guy. He really is. We'll probably have Candy may have 1 or 2 more sound bites we're going to put on Fire Up on Thursday night, but these are the 2 we'll want to put out here tonight for sure. We have more to come on this kid, and anything else to come up will be brought on Fire Up, but we got it tonight. So let's talk about the risers and fallers from the 2026 Panini Senior Bowl, which Candy and I had the opportunity to cover. Obviously, not too many losers. That's not a mistake. But a couple of the honorable mentions. We'll start with Western Michigan edge rusher Nadami Tucker, Notre Dame wide receiver Malachi Fields, Indiana running back Kalon Black, Michigan edge rusher Derek Moore. Okay, and then so I'm going to go over some players who are up and down. And I know, Mel, you got about 6 minutes or so at least we got you in for this topic, and then you can promote your nonprofit. We're going to start out with Mike Washington Jr. His stock went up. Jeremy, your thoughts about this guy? You're doing more research than anybody.
Which one were you asking about, the last one?
Mike Washington Jr., the kid out of Arkansas.
I love the kid. He has had some fumbling issues in college, but we saw that with another running back that turned out to be great and not having fumbling issues in the NFL after being coached by one and only Mike Hart before he went back to Eastern Michigan, and that is Jonathan Taylor, if you remember right. So right. I think he has that type of potential. That's his ceiling. I'm not comparing him to Jonathan Taylor, but at his height, size, and speed, with 4.33 speed at 6'3" and 228 pounds, the sky's the limit. If he can eliminate the fumbling issues, he'll be a great addition to any team that needs a premier running back, because that type of speed is not normal.
Okay, everybody's going to follow Jeremy on this, so you're going to be the first one. Mel, some thoughts about Mike Washington, running back.
Yeah, I'm with Jeremy. I mean, there's certain things you can't coach, and you can't coach 4.33. I mean, you can't coach that. He's 6'1", he's 225 pounds, and can hit his head on the goalpost from anywhere on the field. No, that's a game-breaking type of running back. You get the ball in his hands a variety of different ways, whether it's handing the ball off to him or throwing the ball to him or tossing it to him. You get the ball in his hands 20, 25 times a game. That's why a guy like him, should be making $35 to $40 million, because he's a difference maker. I understand running backs don't get that money. I'm not saying that this guy should get that kind of money, but I'm just saying a difference maker like this, because he's going to affect the game. He can control the game because of his size and his power, but then he can also break the game wide open because he's got home run speed. He can hit his head on the goalpost from anywhere on the field. So this guy's going to get an opportunity to play. He's going to get an opportunity to fix the fumbling issues. Normally, it's just, it's pretty simple. It's just a matter of concentrating and how you carry the ball, protect the points, making sure you're protecting all the points in the football. Not really a big issue, not something that he has to think a whole lot about, but something that he can get coached up on, very, very easily. But the guy has a chance because he has all the measurables. He has all the measurables. Now the other stuff we don't really know about. As far as his heart and will and all that other kind of stuff. But that's something that is yet to be seen, and he'll get an opportunity to prove whether or not he deserves to play in the National Football League.
Candy.
He spent the 2025 season as a starting running back for Arkansas, where he rushed for 1,070 yards, 8 touchdowns, and received for 226 yards and a touchdown in 12 games. So he's a dual threat. That also helps. Yes, maybe he has some fumbling issues, but I think the right coaches can really help you with that. So kudos to him. One last little nugget. He was born on the 3rd of July.
Hey, Tommy.
History of NFL running backs who had better pro careers in college. So it sounds like he's one of those guys that it's going to be crucial that he goes to the right team, the team that where he can fill a need and also have a position coach who knows how to work with him and teach him. I think Mel said once that about John Robinson, that a lot of coaches just not all coaches are as good at teaching what you need to do, and sounds like that's what he needs to do to overcome whatever he lacks.
Let's stay with the running back team. Tyron Montgomery is up, and apparently he collected 2,599 receiving yards and 36 total TDs in 2 seasons of college football. All right, Jeremy, some thoughts about Tyron Montgomery. They're saying his stock went up too.
Before I talk on Ty Montgomery, I want to talk about where I think the perfect landing spot for Mike Washington is. And
Go right ahead.
He was originally a day 3 pick until the combine. He shot up the draft boards. It's looking like late 2nd round, early 3rd is where he's projected to go. I say the Seahawks to replace K9.
Interesting. Okay. Now you talk about Montgomery.
Ty Montgomery, what great wide receiver, excellent production. He's not the crispest route runner, but he has great hands and can make contested catches. So if he works on his route running, he has the chance to develop into a solid wide receiver number 2 in the NFL.
Hey, Mel, can you stay on for the rest of this topic, and then we'll let you go? Is that all right? You with me, or do you have to get going that hard out?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I got what the time is it? I'll finish this one up. I don't know a whole lot about this kid. What's his name?
Well, Tyron Montgomery. This kid's out of, I think, John Carroll University.
Yeah, he came out of one of the smaller schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about this kid as far as size, speed, and or anything. To be honest with you, he's a wide receiver or running back. What is he?
Wide receiver.
He's 6'1", 185.
5'11", 204. Because according to his combine measurements, he's 5'11" and 4/8, 204 pounds. He has almost 9-inch hands, 32-inch arm length, and a 77-inch wingspan. He ran a 4.5 40. He has a 10'8" broad jump, which equals to explosiveness. But he was a little slow on the shuttle at 4.38. There's quarterbacks that ran it faster.
Yeah, what was it? What was his production like in college?
He just announced the stats. I guess you didn't hear it. What was it? 2,599 yards and how many touchdowns?
2,599 receiving yards, 36 total TDs.
1,500 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't know a whole lot about the guy, but I wish him the best of luck.
Small schools, sometimes these are those this is where the hidden gems come out from these places. Anybody else want to add? Pardon me?
Yeah, sometimes it can happen.
Anybody else want to add to it?
He's a late blooming Division III standout with intriguing.
Well, upside. I was just going to say, if he's from.
Go ahead, Tom.
I was just going to say, if he's from John Carroll Division III school, that's Don Shula's school. If he's from a Division III school and gets invited to the Senior Bowl, somebody sees something in him. And I guess also the thing about him is he was one of these guys that thought he was a basketball player until he realized he might have a better future in football. And he was smart enough to take advantage of it at a Division III school where he'd get plenty of playing time. So he's an intriguing prospect.
Well, let's move on. Max Anchor is up. Obviously, he's the Arizona State tackle. This kid stands at 6'6", 330 pounds. Okay, Jeremy, let's go rapid fire on these guys. I know Mel has to get out, but we don't have that many more to go.
What was the last one?
Max
Ahinacor, right tackle out of Arizona.
Yeah, he's up anyways, whatever you call him.
Yep. Out of Arizona State University. He was one of the standouts at the Senior Bowl. He was one of the ones that was standing up everybody. He put Michigan's Derek Moore on his behind a couple times. So I love this kid. I think he's a great addition to any team that needs a tackle. He has the ability to play both tackle ends. He's not one of these tackles that are projected to be a guard, because he has long enough arms and good enough footwork to handle the athleticism needed at the tackle position.
Mel, need these guys to block for you.
Yeah, I mean, Jeremy seems to have it. He seems to have it nailed. Again, I haven't followed much of these guys in the pre-draft, and certainly didn't watch much of the Senior Bowl, so I don't have a whole lot to add to what Jeremy just said.
Okay, no problem. We'll just keep moving along. Candy?
Yeah, I mean, I'll second whatever. I mean, he's listed as 321. He appeared in that. Okay, so he made his first collegiate start in week 3 of 2023. That season, the anchor appeared in 6 games with 5 starts. He became a full-time starter in 2024, making all 14 starts. And in 2025, he was named second team All Big 12.
Okay.
Just for reference, if anybody needs it, I just posted it in the chat. I actually wrote a draft profile on Max Ahinacor. Just at the Senior Bowl, he weighed in at 330. At the Combine, he weighed in at 321. So he dropped 9 pounds.
Okay, good stuff. I'll tell you, that case, CBS Sports Network, that's pretty good. I don't feel like we're on CBS. Great brain stuff. Okay, let's keep it going. All right, everybody talked about this guy. Well, a lot of people are familiar with this guy. It looks like his stock went down. Although I had a chance to talk to him, Diego Pavia is down. He measured in at 5'9". Jeremy, take it from there. We don't have to have a long commentary. We'll go through the rest of them, but let's talk about Diego Pavia.
Basically, he has the stature of Kyler Murray or Bryce Young. He has the attitude mentally as Johnny Manziel when it comes to football. But I really didn't see the ability on the field. I like what he said in the interview you did. I think he might be a late day 3 pick to an undrafted free agent, unfortunately, just because of his stature alone and the lack of stats with Vandy.
Okay, that's fair enough. Go ahead, Mel.
I think they measured him at 5'10", and they got him at a 4.840, 4.84 in the 40. Small and slow is not good in the NFL. That's not a good combination in the NFL. So I see this guy as he'll probably get an opportunity as an undrafted free agent somewhere. I don't really see him getting drafted, but he's probably looking at the UFL for a number of years to get a little bit more experience, show people that he can play at another level higher than college, and maybe he'll get an opportunity and bounce around on people's practice squads or being a third-team quarterback.
Candy.
A couple of his strengths: dual threat option who creates for his offense on land and by air. Big hands allow him to pump, reset, and work to alternate options. Some of his weaknesses: production and consistency dipped against quality SEC defenses, inconsistent patience and decision-making against split safety looks, lower half legs behind, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, leave behind, but put Edwards' comments up there. I love those comments. I can't help but laugh. The last
I love
one
what he said about me.
Yeah, get that one up there. That was good. I need the one where there's a lot of juice to this one. That's it. You get since you love it, you get to read it.
Pavia will probably get
matter
a
of fact-
shot based on his reputation, but wow, I just don't see him ever being a chosen starting QB in the NFL. Great call, UFL might give him a chance.
Lingerie League.
Lingerie League too.
I'll leave it at that. All right, that's a good one. Everybody have a chance to talk about them. A few more to go. Caleb, according to the Senior Bowl stock watch, Caleb Banks and Lee Hunter, their values went up. Banks needed a week after an injury-plagued season. His power showed up in a big way, and his overall performance could work him back up into the first round. Hunter's overwhelming power at the defensive tackle also flashed as he continues to prove he's amongst some of the best defensive linemen in the class. Jeremy, take it from there.
Well, originally both of these guys were considered day 3 picks, and I don't know if Caleb Banks goes as early as everyone wants because of the injury history, because the one thing that has reigned true in NFL history is if you're injured in college, you will be injured in pros. I see him possibly going day 2 versus day 1. Lee Hunter, he's the one that shot up draft boards the most. He originally was one of those guys that were borderline going to end up being a undrafted free agent. He shot up to be a late day 2, early day 3 pick now. And I think he's one of the better defensive tackles overall for production and what he did at the combine in this draft.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, don't know much about either one of these guys. I'll just I'll take Jeremy's word for it. I see the one guy started out. One guy's from Southfield, Michigan, went to Southfield High. And started out his career, I think, at Arizona State University, and then switched over to Louisville. I think he finished up at Florida. He's got some great measurables, big guy, eat up a lot of blockers, the kind of guy that you want to have in the middle of your line. So, he'll get a look without question because he's a big man.
Edwards, you're not going anywhere, so don't even go there. We'll leave it at that. He ain't banning you from anywhere. You're the life.
No, he's saying there's so many quips about shooting up, he could say.
Oh, okay. Well, either way, you're not getting banned, Edwards. Don't worry about it. Just keep contributing. All right, Candy.
So as far as Banks is, some of the strengths that they're talking about, he uses long arms and heavy hands to stun blockers. He has power to press and separate at the point, above average first step quickness and pursuit movements. Some of his weaknesses, though, he looked heavier and slower in 2025 when he dealt with the foot injury. Hands get a little sloppy working from blocker to blocker. Takes time to disengage and tackle his gaps. Fatigue and sees his rush effectiveness decline.
Hey, Tommy?
That one.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add to all that. That sounds good to me.
All right, that's okay. Hey, listen, you know what? We're trying. I knew this was probably one of those shows where, a lot of people are going to have to watch it a time or two because I packed a lot of information in this show. Other ones, we have more topics. This one, we have a lot of information. Next up, you have Zion Young. His stock went up. The edge rusher from Missouri possesses a ton of power and was able to put on a display in Mobile. All right, we'll go ahead and let Jeremy take it over from there.
Productive guy, looking at late first round to mid second at the most. I like the kid. Great size, prototypical size. He's not as quick as you'd like, and he's also not his broad jump wasn't as powerful as everybody wanted it to be. So that's what's keeping him from making that break into like the top 20 picks. I think he's going to get picked somewhere between 21 and 45. That's just me. I just think that's where he's going to end up falling. It could be that late first round. Somebody that needs an edge that just lost a couple, like Boye Mafe at Seattle at 32. Another team that's looking for an edge late in the draft is the Chicago Bears. They need somebody for opposite Montez Sweat, just like we need somebody for opposite Aiden Hutchinson. So, and I think there's plenty in that first and second round that would fit the needs of any team.
Yeah, Mike, that's what we tried to do is make it a primary. Glad that you're contributing a lot. Okay, go ahead, Mel. Only 3 more players to go after this, And then Mel will be done for tonight.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't follow much of the pre-draft stuff, so Jeremy, that's in his wheelhouse. So whatever he says goes.
No, fine. I'm totally okay with that. Go ahead, Candy.
Young is a fiery alpha who brings immense energy to the field and locker room. He majors in block destruction using base power and aggression to play through opponents. He extends and locks out as an edge setter and sheds when needed, but his pursuit, speed, and range are average. He has the power to bull rush or drive through edges, but lacks instincts and variety in his rush approach. His NFL pressure production will lag behind without better go-to moves and counters. His physical tools and rugged demeanor give him a chance to be an instant run-stopping upgrade with average rush.
Okay, Tommy. Tommy?
Yeah, Jeremy said it all already.
Good job, Jeremy. You're making a lot of people won't lose their voice because of you. You got to have a guy like Ballard. I'll tell you, covers the draft.
Time after you'd have something to say about the guy. He started out at Michigan State. You didn't know anything about this guy?
You asking me?
No, I'm asking Tom.
Not really.
He knows exactly what I said. He knows exactly what I said. He does not have the elite push-off. He does not have an elite burst step. He is a good bull rusher. He's a great run stopper, and he may cause pressure against a weaker offensive tackle. The problem is he's not facing a lot of weaker offensive tackles in the NFL.
I mean, they got him going in the first or second round. His comp is Zadarius Smith. That guy there was a handful.
Yeah, he was a real handful early in his career, and he still was a handful late until Cam Scadaboo sticked him into retirement.
Okay, three more players get to. Nicholas Singleton went down due to a broken foot. You can't. That's why lots of guys don't like to play in these games because of injuries. Jeremy, we don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but unfortunately,
who is it?
Nicholas Singleton. Unfortunately,
Nicholas Singleton.
Huh?
The running back, right?
Yeah, Nicholas out of Penn State.
Penn State. Yeah.
He's the Batman to the guy that was the main guy there. I think he's fine. He'll be a nice complementary piece. He's more of the thunder than the lightning. He's not the quickest guy. Wasn't it Jadarian Price was his running mate, I believe? Kind of like Batman and Robin there, or Thunder and Lightning, whatever you want to call it. But he was the slower, more powerful back. He was the one that would get the good short yardage and would be good on the goal line. I see him as a late day 2, early day 3 pick. I don't see the elite production that we wanted to see out of him. They wanted him to run in the 4.3, 4.4s, and he ran around a 4.5, which isn't horrible, but it wasn't what they expected out of him because he looks faster with the ball in his hand on the field. And if they pay attention to game film, I think somebody could get a steal in the 4th round.
Okay. Mel?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Jeremy on that. I mean, somebody's probably going to get a steal. The guy was hurt, so it means you broke a bone on his foot. You're rehabbing, you're trying to recover, and then you're trying to post a time before the draft so that you can try to improve your draft stock. I know exactly what that's like. So he really didn't have the opportunity, like everybody else, to really prepare for the combine and to really prepare to run the 40. He's really just trying to get himself healthy so he can get out there. So he can get out there and just put a time out there. So he's got a time out there. It's probably going to cost him some money, but he'll get an opportunity. You don't make up money. There's no such thing as making up money, but he'll get an opportunity probably, to make somebody's ball club and make himself a good little living and have himself a nice career.
Candy?
Singleton is a linear runner who plays like his break lines have been cut, affecting his ability to gather and elude tacklers to cut on demand. He has the speed to make defenses pay, but displayed a lack of vision and instincts to put himself in position to do so. Relative to his teammate, Katron Allen, his size and speed will get attention, but his ability to return kicks and play on third downs could ultimately earn him a roster spot as an RB3.
Tommy?
Nothing to add.
Okay, no problem. I have something to add, and his name is Jay Knott. His stock went up. Jeremy?
What's the first name?
Jaydn. Jaden?
Jaden, is he? What position is he? Because I don't
Yeah,
know that name off the top of my head.
yeah. Well, he's actually a big time transfer from Cal and was poised to lead the Sooners backfield and became a top 75 pick. Total 68 yards, 21 carries, and a buzz around his name. He was one of the better backs in Mobile. Maybe he's back. Okay, so he didn't get a lot of publicity, but he was a back that played there. You want to take it from there, or you just want to move on?
I'm going to try to look him up for a minute. Give me a little bit.
All right, that's okay. Candy,
I know nothing about this. Oh,
no,
there
that's
he is.
okay. He's one of the few guys you don't know about, but I'll give you a minute to figure it out. Go ahead, Candy. What do you know about this guy?
His scouting report says his strengths are he's a patient runner who lets blocks develop before committing downhill. He's a willing pass catcher with soft hands, 98 career receptions across 4 years. Runs with physicality and forward lean despite a frame under 210 pounds. He shows good vision on zone runs, finding cutbacks. His weakness, his production fell off a cliff after his sophomore year and he never recovered. His pass protection is a clear liability. Bench press numbers suggest he lacks functional strength to hold up inside. Only 31 snaps at Oklahoma make it nearly impossible to evaluate his current form.
All right, Jeremy, what do you want to learn anything there? Okay, what do you got?
Okay, he ran a 4.46 He ran a 4.46 40, which actually is the 80th percentile above average. He had a 40.5 vertical jump. He had a 10'11" broad jump, which was excellent for a running back. So he has the first step. He has a decent amount of speed. But at 5'11" and at his pro day, he weighed in at 201 pounds with less than a 9-inch hand and a 30-inch wingspan, which is way below normal. But his relative athletic score, because of his combine measurements and pro day, is a 9.37. He has the potential to develop into something, but I really don't see a lot out of this kid at 5'11" and 201 pounds. Heck, I'm 5'11" and I'm 20 pounds heavier than him on accident.
All right, Tommy, Mel, anything you guys want to add to it?
Yeah, not a whole lot of production in college. Like they said, since his sophomore year, started out at Cal, went to Oklahoma, didn't see much time at Oklahoma. Smallish guy, fast, probably would be a good third down back if he's good in the pass protection game. If he's not good in the pass protection game, he won't find himself on a roster.
Okay, last player we're going to talk about. The last player we're going to talk about. Go ahead.
With only 16 reps, the chances of blocking a linebacker is about the same as me making an NFL roster.
Our last one before Mel bolts is Garrett Nussmeier. His stock went up. I had a chance to talk to him. This kid here could be a heck of a quarterback in the league. Jeremy, some thoughts about Garrett Nussmeier. Everything I saw was good.
All right. Garrett.
Nussmeier.
Oh, Nussmeier from LSU. He had the second longest pass at the Senior Bowl. He didn't really test out for running or any of that because he's more of a pocket passer. He does have enough athleticism to break free from the pocket, but at 6'2" and 203, he's average size for a quarterback. He has smaller hand size at 9 and at 8 and shorter arms, but he also has a quick release. I'm not saying he doesn't have the arm strength, and don't confuse that. The guy that had the longest pass at the Senior Bowl was the one you talked to and you just showed the interview to, Cole Payton, who delivered a 50-yard bomb in the air.
All right. Okay. Mel, thoughts about Garrett Nussmeier?
Well, I mean, his stock has been up and down. At the beginning of the year, he was a projected number 1 draft pick. You get through unless you struggled throughout the course of the year, quarterback gets a lot of blame for that. He kind of had, just an okay year. Look at his numbers. His numbers weren't all that great for this past year. So, he'll get an opportunity. Like I say, he'll get an opportunity, start as a backup, maybe a practice squad type guy. But, he's got an uphill climb. There's no question about it. He spent 5 years at LSU. Finally got the opportunity to start as a redshirt junior and then came back as redshirt senior year. which he was hoping was going to be a better year and going to improve his draft stock. And unfortunately, it didn't help it. It didn't help his draft stock. So, he's probably, a day two guy, probably, I'm guessing. Jeremy would probably know better than me. But, right now, I think he's probably a day two guy, where last year, if he would have came out last year, the guy was probably projected to go somewhere. Maybe he would have an opportunity to go with his numbers, have an opportunity to go in the first round. But again, that was only a 13-game sample size. So, it's kind of difficult to tell.
Yeah, Brian Kelly didn't do him any favors for sure. And I had talked to him about that as well. Candy, go some thoughts. And then we're going to let Mel out of here after he promotes his nonprofit.
Undersized pocket passer with legitimate arm talent that has not been able to make up for some flaws in his game. He is inconsistent diagnosing coverages and working through progressions, which limit his ability to counter what defenses show him. He plays with a gunslinger mindset and doesn't consistently prioritize ball security. He will make a throw that makes you a believer in one series, but he often follows that up with a turnover that reignites the doubt. He has adequate mobility in the pocket and limits his sack count. Teams will need to balance his mistakes and durability concerns against his potential to improve on his LSU output.
All right, Tommy, you have the final word on this one.
Yeah, the only thing I'm going to say is he didn't blame anybody for LSU's disappointing season. He seems pretty focused on what he has to do to make the jump to the NFL. So I think he's a pretty sharp guy that's going to put in whatever work is necessary.
Yeah, and that's true. As long as he gets in the right system, that's the main point. And I was impressed with everything I saw. All right, Mel, really quickly, let everybody know how to get a hold of you, talk about your nonprofits. Thanks for staying on through the duration of the topic. We appreciate it. Your expertise is important, especially on these evaluations. Go ahead, Mel.
Well, hey, I appreciate being here. But hey, everybody can follow me. You can't follow me on Twitter anymore or X, because for whatever reason they banned me on there. I don't know why, but everywhere else you can find me at Mel Farr Jr. And you can follow what we have going on for the youth down here in Georgia and also in Michigan at melfarsuperstarfoundation.org. You guys have a great evening. Have a great rest of your show.
You do the same thing. Look forward to next week, and then we'll have a few weeks off from the show. Thanks a lot for being on here and pushing us a little bit harder, Mel. Appreciate you. Right. God bless, my friend. Have a good night.
Here.
Get some rest. Thanks.
Thank you, Mel.
All right, so let's continue the narrative. A few more draft things we want to get to. Notable players who didn't receive a combine invite include Trinidad Chambliss. For obvious reasons, he was working on eligibility. Tyron Montgomery didn't get one. He did not get one. Kalen Black of Indiana didn't get one. Mikael Kamara, Cyrus Allen, and Riley Molman. Why do you think they didn't get invites, Jeremy?
Because they weren't at the top of the list. There's only so many players at each position they can invite, because there's 300 players or 325 players that get to come to the combine, and the deeper positions of the better production actually came out in tight ends, defensive line, offensive line, and linebackers. Those are the deepest groups that were at the combine. They were the ones that took the longest each day. I think the third longest was wide receivers, but let's face it, there was only 7 quarterbacks that actually went to the combine. There was only, I think, a little more than 10 running backs that got invited. And there's a lot of guys I wish they would have invited. Chip Trayanum out of Toledo that had a heck of a year after transferring in there from Ohio State when he was previously recruited his freshman year at Arizona. So, there's all sorts of guys that I wish that would have been there that didn't get invited. And I feel bad for the guys, but that's why they have pro days.
Exactly. Tommy, any thoughts about this?
Yeah, they got their chance at a pro day. They all had some kind of flaw if they didn't get invited. So it doesn't mean they're not going to make the NFL. There's still guys that'll come out of that pool.
Yeah, I love going to pro days. I think they're great. I've been to the last few of them for sure. Candy, any quick thoughts on that?
There's only so many invites that can go out. So there's how many positions they can only, give so many invites. Your pro days is the way that you can really shine. Scouts still go to pro day. And if you didn't say it, leave it all on the field during the season, pro day is the next best thing.
Okay, well, let's go back to Colorado. Visit that again. No invite for Colorado to the scouting combine. 10 players from last season seem declared for the NFL draft by Sports Illustrated. After watching 4 players get drafted last year, Colorado won't have any find a home in this year's draft. Okay, Jeremy, Colorado got shut out this time.
And that's because most of them are underclassmen. All their seniors graduated this year.
Right.
I think they only had 1 or 2 seniors, and they didn't have a good year. They didn't perform well on the field, and it's looking like Coach Prime is not a big time school coach, like we all said after he transferred there from or got the job from Jackson State to Colorado. I said I don't know if his style of play will work in the Power 5 conferences, and so far it hasn't.
Okay, Tommy.
Yeah, you don't have to look any further past the team records. They were what 9-4 2024 and 3-8, 3-9 last year. So that sums up a lot of it right there. And Deion Sanders is a star, but sometimes that doesn't translate to being able to recruit. When Tony Gwynn took over as the coach at San Diego State, everybody thought the San Diego State was going to finally be good in baseball, and they never were.
Great stuff, Tommy. Candy?
So no Colorado players were among the 319 invited to the 2026 event, highlighting challenges in player development outside of elite talent. The snub occurred after a 3-9 season raises questions about the team's reliance on the transfer portal rather than long-term top-tier development.
Okay, let's continue on. The Seahawks have quintupled in value since their last Super Bowl win, $1.3 billion in 2014, 2026, $6.7 billion, Candy. I'll tell you what, that's not too bad.
No, I mean, obviously winning, and they're up for sale, but winning the Super Bowl is automatically going to catapult your value and your stock because, let's face it, everybody counts the Super Bowl as the highest trophy that you can get. And how many quarterbacks have we said, if you don't win how many Super Bowls, do you belong in the Hall of Fame? Like, that's how we measure people these days. Whether that's right or wrong, that's one of the standards that we hold teams accountable to. And so when somebody wins, obviously your draft stock rate rises.
Okay, Jeremy?
I agree with Candy there. Championships mean everything. That you win the Heisman, you win the national championship, you're going to be the number 1 pick overall. We've seen it how many times now? Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young, over and over again. If the quarterback does both, he's the number 1 pick overall. The only exception to that rule is he won a Heisman, but he never won a national championship, was Caleb Williams.
Tommy?
Yeah, it's the Super Bowl title, great city, great stadium, great fan base. And then on top of all that, everything is increasing in value in the NFL.
Yeah, many years ago, I had an opportunity to see the Seahawks play in the Kingdom. That was an excellent place. If anybody's ever been to the Kingdom, I really enjoyed it. The concrete dome. Too bad it had to come down, but they had to modernize it. Okay. Now, everybody speak about this? So our last topic of the night, likely canceling. Alabama will likely cancel their series with Ohio State. Tommy, do you like this or not? I don't really like it, but it seems like with a lot of these big series are going down.
Yeah, who's canceling it? I hadn't heard about this. Is
Alabama
canceling it?
Yeah, Alabama's canceling with Ohio State. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they're looking at playing a young quarterback and starting off 0-1. So I think that explains it right there.
Okay, well, that's why you're my college football authority. Although, Jeremy, you're making a good case for it too after what I've seen, and I haven't seen you talk college like this. But but Tommy's the best at it. I have to be that way. But Jeremy, you impress the daylights out of me.
He's got the experience. 20 years from now, I'll be just like him. How's that?
No, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. All right, Jeremy, some thoughts about this cancellation.
I don't mind it really because anything that takes money away from overrated state university, I'm good with.
Okay, Andy.
As you build a program and these smaller schools want to play the bigger schools and all these conferences expanding, you have less and less room for some of these outside non-conference games. Do we want to see this? Probably, but I understand it. I understand the room for smaller schools that need more funding to play the bigger schools and get the paydays that they have. So I understand it. Plus, Alabama doesn't want to be embarrassed. They're not the same caliber school that they used to be.
And finally, as we wrap the show up, we do it with the Shanahan Report. Mr. Shanahan, you get to do one tonight. Guess what? You get to do one tomorrow on the Motor City Man Mouse Show. Tom Shanahan's going into a very different show tomorrow night with Steve Ballesteri and I. And Tom, it's called the AG Show. Anything goes. We'll talk non-sports topics, and we're going to have a lot of other interesting topics on hand. Hope you can join Tommy, Steve, and I. All right.
Go to my website. Yeah. Go to my website, tomshanahan.report. My Twitter handle is Shanny4055. That's SHANNY4055. My website includes links to buy my books that are on Amazon and Barnes & Noble.
And Tommy writes for the South Florida Tribune, as does Jeremy. We got two guys that are loyal to the company. They write. So if you see them on a drop down, please look at their stuff. Great stuff. Get it up on Twitter as often as we can. But these guys are company people in every sense of the word. With that said, Jeremy, let everybody know to get a hold of you. Obviously, you and Candy co-host Fire Up. And now, obviously, you're back on Inside the Fiction for good.
Well, yeah. So you can find me right here on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel, where I'm going to be live every Tuesday and every Thursday, where I'm the co-host on Thursdays, because that's what Scott calls the country club, because we're a little more laid back and have fun. Whereas this is more structured. We try not to interrupt each other. We try not to yell, and we try not to have the Freudian slip, because he likes professionalism. So, but you can also find me on the website under the contributors rating, under the Motor City Tribune heading, where you see my articles about the Lions. I've been dabbling in other teams and other sports, writing little things here and there, but mostly Detroit football. And right now I have 22 draft profiles up there this year. With only 9 picks, I think I got enough up there, because I didn't just cover the top. I covered the whole thing.
If it is a country club, I have to wear pants when I got.
Shorts are okay. Shorts are okay.
I love Edwards.
Man,
this guy's great. I guess the good thing I get about Edwards, every time I bring Ballrick on here, I get Edwards in this chat room. Tommy, this Edwards is unbelievable stuff. All right, Candy, take us the rest of the way.
Okay, the South Florida Tribune Publishing Company published a book, Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. It is written by our host, Scott, the Motor City Madmouth Morganroth. Talks about his 40-plus years in the media business and how media has changed over that time. Imagine that. Something's changed over 40 years.
No.
Go get your copy today so you can read how it has changed. He talks about some really good interviews. He has some really good pictures in there. Get your copy today. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, Google, and Apple Books. The audiobook is also out there if you're one that likes to listen to audiobooks. The link is on our website, www.southfloridatribune.com, where there's a plethora of great content, so go check it out. If you like to listen to podcasts, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to, you want to advertise or sponsor the show, you can always email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Last but not least, if you see the red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner, that means you have not yet subscribed to our channel. What are you waiting for? Click it like a sheriff with all your friends and family. And if you subscribe to, there's 2 YouTube channels that this is being streamed to. If you subscribe to one, please go over to the other and subscribe to that one as well, because we both are supporting each other, and we would appreciate you supporting everybody here in the room.
You forgot a spot on where to find Scott's book on the SouthFloridaTribune.com.
There you go. See, this guy got it down. Hey, Tommy, I trained him out as well as I could. He hasn't done too bad.
You did. One
Hey,
last
see,
thing. If you subscribe to any of the YouTube channels, make sure you turn on the notifications so you're notified when we go live, so you can come in. We love the interaction from the chat room. Michael, thank you. Michael Edwards, thank you so much. I think Eddie Prater was in there too. We appreciate that. We love going back and forth and talking with you guys when you're talking relevant to the topics that we have on here. So thank you so much for that.
But wait, there's more.
Hey, Tommy, did you get your books up there to promote them or what?
Yes, he did. He talked about
Yeah, Tom Shanahan report.
Put them up there again. I don't care. We
Go
got
to Tom Shanahan report, and there's links to all my books that you can buy.
Attaboy. We'll get you as many plugs as we can, since we're not running close to a 2-hour mark. I had all these topics in here. One of the toughest shows I've had to produce, because there's so much data because of the draft. I promise you, next week it does get easier than this. I promise. So we got a lot accomplished, so we did it within the time frame as well. So great stuff in the chat room. Great job on Mel as well for extending himself. Jeremy, obviously, I don't have you on lot, but we get used to having you on. So give us your line that you're so famous for.
The only thing I forgot to mention is the fact that I have my own YouTube channel, which we're going live into. The KCB Sports Network. That's my channel now. I did that because KCB was the original call sign of actually WDFN, the Fan on AM radio. And also it's a throwback to the Dan Campbell speech when he hired in for the Lions with kneecap biting. So it stays along the same thing. But now that I'm talking Tigers, and I'm pretty soon starting my Pistons talk, seeing how we won 60 games this year, and we're in the playoffs, unlike the Dead Wings.
Tell me how you really feel.
Yeah. So follow me there. Follow my writings. Follow the South Florida Tribune. Catch all our shows. We have a lot of stuff going on. Some of it we run at the same time, and it's pick your poison at that time, because both shows may be different, but they're both very good. And try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way to make the world a better place. It starts right here.
Well, I'm telling you, we appreciate Tommy being a trooper, Mel being a trooper, you being back on here, period, on Tuesday. Candy, your usual great self. Me, I just go out there and make sure we produce the best we can. So Tommy and I will be back tomorrow around 7:50 Eastern time. The Motor City Mad Mouse Show, Country Club will be on around 9:30. We'll have a hockey show as well on Thursday, and I've got a couple of other things that I'm planning tomorrow. The Sports Exchange comes on around 9. Have a good group there as well. Eric Katz knows how to light it up. So Tommy got a piece of him last week. I tell you, he got under mouse skin, didn't he, a little bit? Cassie's a little spitfire. But all right, well, we want to thank everybody for joining us. So on behalf of Tom Shanahan, Candy Eveling, Jeremy Ballrick, and Mel Farr Jr., I want to thank you for joining us on our Get Ready for the NFL Draft, and we'll make it a lot easier for everybody next week. God bless everybody, and have a great week, and please keep watching our shows. Have a great night, and God bless. Bye now.